Hello everybody, this is Ria with PoshPlumPlans.com. I am here today to do a video for the Mommy Lhey YouTube channel, and today I am going to do a video on how to make your tabs. Let's get started. So I'm already here in Photoshop, and the first thing I want to do is click on Create New. When the box comes up, I want to make sure that my width is set to 8.5 and my height is set to 11. Resolution is set to 300 and my color mode is on RGB with the background contents being, oh, I guess white is fine. Click on Create. And so here is my brand new clean sheet of paper and I am ready to start designing. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here to Image, and I am going to just rotate it so that it is a landscape instead of portrait. Now you can see over here on the left hand side I have my library already set up for September 2018 digital files. Now I know it's about the middle of October, but I absolutely love this kit and all of the artwork. I just can't let it go. So I wanted to do some tabs based on this kit right here. You can do exactly what I'm about to show you with any of the Mommy Lhey digitals. Any of her artwork will work for this project. I'm just choosing these files because I'm in love. So let's get started. Okay, so we basically have a sheet of paper here in front of us, and I am going to do these tabs based on half letter size. So the first thing you want to keep in mind is the size of the tabs that you're trying to create. Now let's also keep in mind that these tabs are meant for ring planners, not for TNs. We can do tabs and dashboards for TNs another time in another video, but the video for today is just for ring planners. So the first thing to keep in mind is the size of your planner. The next thing you want to know is the amount of tabs that you want to have. So for the purpose of this video today, I'm going to do 5 tabs. If you want more or less, I can kind of show you how to run the math for that, but just for today I'm going to do half letter size and I am going to do 5 tabs. So the first thing I want to do is come up here to View, and I'm going to click on New Guide Layout. Now mine already pops up exactly how I want it, so I am going to kind of remove all of these and show you exactly how I got there. So preset, you're going to leave at custom. Target, you're going to leave at canvas, and then you've got 2 options here. You can either do columns or rows. We are specifically going to work with rows. So if I click this box here, I'm just going to zero this out. If I click this box here, then it will show me the number of rows, the height of the rows, and the gutter. All I want to do is take this sheet of paper that I have right here and divide it evenly between 5 tabs. So I don't have to do the math and I don't have to figure out exactly where to cut. I'm just going to tell Photoshop, hey, I want 5 rows, and that's going to be where my tabs land. Now for margin, down here, I'm going to click this and then some vertical lines are going to show up, but I'll kind of show you how I do the math for this. So I'm going to leave top at 0 and I'm going to leave bottom at 0. I just want to worry about left and right. So for me, it's going to be easy. I'm doing half letter. So I know if I want a guideline right in the middle of my page, I know that half of that is going to be 5.5. Okay, so we're dealing with 11 inches as the width because I've got this paper the landscape way instead of the portrait way, so I know my width is 11. So if I want smack dab in the middle, I've got 5.5 inches, and so there we go. So that is basically saying that the guideline on the left side of my sheet is going to be smack dab in the middle, and now I want a right side guideline, and that is going to be the height of my tab. So for me personally, I want my tabs to be about, let's say, 1/2 inch thick. So 5.5 is where my page is going to end, but I want the tab to stick out an additional 1/2 inch so that I can write whatever my tab is. If it's monthly, daily, weekly, budget, whatever the tab is supposed to say, I want space for that to be about 1/2 inch. So for the right side, I am going to say that I want that margin to appear I'm gonna type in 5. So did you see how that second line showed up there? What happened was, if you can imagine a line showing up on the right side of your page, I can kind of show you, if I pull it in at 1 inch, that's where the right guideline would be. If I wanted it at 2 inches, that's where it would be. So you're basically pulling a line from the right side of the page and you're moving it over to meet the middle. So since I want a gap of 1/2 inch, I'm going to pull it in 5 inches here, and right in the middle there you can see that I've got a gap of 1/2 inch. So with all of these horizontal lines and all of these vertical lines, this is going to tell me exactly where the tabs need to go and how to basically line everything up. So it might sound confusing right now, but stick with me. I'm going to click OK. And the next thing we're going to do is decide what backgrounds we want. Now, if you look on the left side of my screen, I have a window here called Libraries, and what I do for every Mommy Lhey kit that I have for digitals is I pull all the files into this library right here, so I can very easily access them, and I don't have to go up here to File and Open and locate the file that I need. Everything is just right here. So I'm going to start pulling in these backgrounds by clicking on them and saying Placing Layers. So when I do that, it brings the entire background file in and it sizes it perfectly to my sheet of paper, because the pages in the Mommy Lhey kit are also 8.5 by 11. So let me go ahead and do that for the ones I want to use. Bear with me here. I'm just going to pull a couple of these in. Let's see. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 6 different backgrounds here that I can choose from, but I'm only going to need 5 because I only have 5 tabs. So I can kind of decide over here in the right hand side, I've got a layers palette, and each one of these is named something. There's a background layer, and then there's layer 1, 2, 3, all the way through 6. And those are the different Mommy Lhey papers that I just pulled in. Photoshop is going to name them for me. So you can see them all right here. I think I'm not going to use this layer 6. If I have to choose my 5 favorite, I think this one here is not one of my favorites. So I'm going to take this layer, click and drag it all the way down to the little garbage can, and we're going to get rid of it. So this one I like a lot, but I want all 4 of the colors to be in it. So what I'm going to do is come over here to the left hand side in my tools and click on the Move tool. And if I have this Show Transform Controls checkbox checked, I can see these little boxes all around it, and that's going to allow me to move and rotate this image. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key, and then I'm going to click my mouse down and start to rotate it. And it's going to, because I have the Shift key down, it's going to rotate it at specific angles. And you can see this black box changing with the specific angle. I'm at 60 degrees, now 75 degrees, now 90 degrees, and then I'm just going to let everything go. I'm going to double click in the middle of the screen so that I've got these transform controls back and I can move things around a little bit. And now I am going to, let's see, I'll pull it over here, use my Shift, hold down my Shift to pull this corner in so that it does not distort. And let's say somewhere right about in there. And then I'm also going to pull it in just a little bit. And so if I make a tab out of this background right here, I've got all 4 colors in it, and I think that is cute. All right, so now that we've got our backgrounds in here and I've got all of our guides laid out, now it is time to write out what you want your tabs to say. So for me personally, to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to come up here to image rotation, and let's see, I need to rotate this 90 degrees counterclockwise. There we go. I'm then going to take my zoom tool and zoom in ever so slightly right here in the middle so that I can see how big my tabs are going to be. Do you guys see these 2 lines in the middle, these 2 horizontal lines in the middle of the screen as I scroll across? That is where our text needs to be for our tab labels. So I'm going to click on this text tool over here, the horizontal type tool. And all the way up here, you have your font listed. If you open this box here, there's all the different fonts. If you've got fancy fonts downloaded on your computer, then they will show up here as well. The font I'm using is DK Honey Guide Caps. And I am just going to click right in here and start typing what I want. So my first tab is actually going to say plans. But if you come over here to the layers palette on the right hand side, you can see layer 6 is actually hidden underneath all of these other background layers. So I'm going to click and drag it all the way up to the top. And now you can see the text that I just wrote. So if I click on the move tool, I can kind of move it around so you can see the word that I just wrote. And I want it to fit within these first 2 lines here, so you can see it is way too big at the moment. So I'm going to take my text tool and highlight it, come up here to the size, and I think a good size for this, if I tried this earlier, was about 28. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So click on my move tool again, and I'm just going to try to kind of center it in this area. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because we can move these things around later. So there we go. I'm going to click on my layer over here that says plans. Then I'm going to come down here to the FX button, and I'm going to add a layer style. So I click on that, and I'm going to click on stroke. And if you guys have watched any of my other Photoshop videos, you know that I like to have a healthy size stroke or an outline around my text and my images. So this one here is set to white. You can have it be any color you want. You can choose one of the colors from the project that you're using, or you can do black or white, whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna keep it easy and stay with white. So there's white background. And then if you want that line to be thicker or thinner, you can just change the size right over here. You can scale it up or scale it down. I like 18 for me. With this font, I think it looks pretty nice. So there's my first one, plans. Next one I'm gonna do is going, to say posts. This over here. Now, really quick, I just want to show you something. If you come up here to view and you click on snap and have this checked here, things will be a lot easier in Photoshop for you. Things will kind of snap into place. And if I go to snap 2 and make sure all of these things are checked, then it kind of makes lining up a little bit easier. You'll see some hot pink lines start to pop up, and that will tell you that things are in line. So you can see that hot pink line that just showed up, and it perfectly is underneath the word plans and posts, so I know that they're lined up perfectly. I don't even have to guess. So I'm going to leave that posts right there, come down here to the FX, click on stroke. Photoshop remembers that I had a white stroke with 18 pixels. I'm going to click OK and just move on. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out, and so you can see the different tabs or the different labels that I have here. So that is what I want from mine. Of course, yours can say whatever you want. Mine say plans, posts, videos, blog, and inspo for inspiration. So whatever you want, if you want it to say daily, weekly, monthly, budget, whatever you want yours to say, all of that is going to fit in here nicely. So now the next thing we need to do is decide which background is going to go with which tab, basically. So I'm going to come back up here to image, and I'm going to rotate it back. Okay, so that's what I want it to look like. So now I'm just going to collapse some of these to make some space over here in my layers palette. Now we just need to decide what label goes with what background. So I am going to only deal with my first tab right now. So I only want to deal with the plans tab. I'm going to hide the rest of these layers, the posts, video, blog, and inspo. I'm going to hide those by simply clicking this eyeball here in the layers palette. So I'm going to hide posts, videos, blog, and inspo. The only label I'm dealing with right now is plans. So now if I scroll down to the layers palette and look at all the different backgrounds I have to use, I think earlier I decided that I wanted my very first tab to be this background. So I think that looks really pretty as my initial tab. The next thing I need to do is erase all of the extra background so that this actually looks like a tab, and hopefully this video starts to make some sense. So what I'm going to do is click on the layer that matches the background that I'm working with. So if I take the eye away, you can see that I'm on the right layer here because this is the background that I want. So I'm going to make sure I'm on this layer, and then I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here and come over here to my tools and click on that rectangular marquee tool. Now this is where all these neon blue lines are going to come in handy, all these guides, because they're going to tell me exactly what I need to erase in order to make the tab look right. So if I start in the upper left hand corner, I'm just going to click and drag a box, and I'm going to pull it all the way from the top to the bottom. Now you can see these blue lines, like if you look all the way at the bottom of my screen, you can see these blue lines turn hot pink, and that lets me know that my rectangular marquee, or the box that I'm drawing, matches up and fits with that line. So if you look all around the border, the top border, the right hand border, and the bottom border, they are all a hot pink color. I hope you guys can see that. And then I just need to make sure that when I'm pulling this border in towards the top of my tab, that it snaps into place, which it does. So I don't know if you guys can see that. So I'm pulling it, and then all of a sudden it just snaps into place. So once I've got that selected, I'm just going to hit my delete key, and I'm going to take away that extra background that I don't need. Then I'm going to right click and hit deselect. And now I've got this entire panel down here that I need to erase so that it looks like my tab. So I'm going to start from the bottom this time. And if I start outside my image and come in, then I know that it's going to start directly at the bottom, and you can see these lines starting to turn hot pink. That means that I'm lined up properly. So if I do that and pull this all the way straight up, then I've got a hot pink line there, and then it will snap into place. So I'm basically selecting all of this background right here, hit my delete key, right click, deselect, and there you go. There's your first tab. It looks outlined properly, and if you were to print this out, you would know exactly where to cut it in order to make sure that it looks like a first tab. So if I come over here to File and Print, I can see exactly what it's going to look like when it prints. So when this prints on an 8.5 by 11, I can simply cut it out with a paper cutter. I could use scissors. There's even a more advanced way to use a silhouette or a Cricut in order to cut this perfectly. But for this video alone, I'm just going to show you guys how to make the tabs. So if I print this out, then I've got a perfect sheet of paper here that I can cut into my tab. Okay, so that's how you make the first one. Let's just continue with the rest. So since I've got the plans already done, I'm going to hide that plans layer, and I'm going to view the posts layer. Then I'm also going to hide the background that I just cut because I'm done with that one. Now I need to decide what my next background is going to be. And I think I'm going to stick with this one. So I like this background. Now I need to get rid of all the excess. So I have my rectangular marquee tool selected. I'm going to start from the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to be outside of my image, and I'm going to click and drag towards this guideline here. It's going to snap, and then I'm going to delete, right click, and deselect. So now I want everything gone except for my second tab here. So I am going to delete this top portion here, and then I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up and delete this section here. So there you go, there's my second tab, all done and ready to cut out. If I file and print, you can see how my tab is perfectly lined up, and I can just print it out, cut it, put holes in for my ring planner, and then be done with it. So let's do the next one. Hide that background, hide that label. Now I'm going to do videos, and I think I'm going to go with this background, but I'm going to change it up just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is click on my move tool, and I really like this background, especially where the pink and the green meet. So I am going to take this background and come up here into my navigator panel and move this in just a little bit so that I can see a bigger background all around my image. And then with the move tool selected, I'm going to come down here and grab this corner, lower right hand corner, click on shift and pull it and make it a lot bigger. So once it's about the size I want it to be, I'm going to let go and double click. And then I'm just going to kind of move it around a little bit because I want the tab to have a pink and green background behind it. So let's see, you can kind of play with it and make that look however you want. And I think this is good for me. I like it right there. So I'm going to zoom back in just a little bit. And then while I'm on this background layer, click my rectangular marquee tool and delete all of the background that I do not need. Oops. There you go. Third tab, all done. Hide that and hide videos. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, let's see. I'm just trying to decide what color I want here. So I think I'm going to do the same thing with this background and kind of change it a little bit because I want this word blog to be completely, to have gold completely behind it. So there we go. That looks pretty good to me. And then grab my rectangular marquee tool and just delete all of the background I don't need. Okay, very last one, I'm going to hide the background, hide the word blog, and then do inspo. And I think the last one I have is this one here. So I have a choice. I can either leave it with the white background, or I can see what it would look like if I tried to change it so that there was some background behind it. And I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to leave some background behind it instead of having just the white. So that looks pretty good to me. Grab that rectangular marquee tool again and delete everything I don't need. Okay, there's my final tab. So all you have to do at this point is print them out. So in order to print them out, make sure that you only have the tab showing that you want to print. So for example, if you want to print your very first one, make sure only that background is showing and only that tab is showing. Because if I print right now, it's going to print all of my labels and all of my tabs, and this is not what I want it to look like. So I'm going to deselect all of the other layers and all of the other labels and just print that out. So I would print out plans and then hide those two layers, and then I would print out posts and hide those two layers. Then I would print out videos and hide those two layers. Then I would do my blog tab, hide those two layers. And last but not least, I would do my inspo and print that. Once you got those printed, all you have to do is punch holes and put them in your planner, and you guys are all set. So I hope that video was informative. I tried to make it as quick as possible. Of course, it still ends up being almost half an hour. So I'm sorry about that, guys. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below, and I will try to get back to you as quickly as I can. Again, this is Mommy Lhey Girl Ria signing out. I will catch you guys with another project next time. Thanks, and have a great day. Share, like, subscribe.